Hello. I'm hoping I'm going live. It's me being technological again. I'm doing this on ecamm, so you should have to do a bit of a thing to say that you're allowing permission for it. And I'm also just going to set my camera up so that I can go live on Instagram as well, which is, again, it's very technological. I've got some slides that I'm going to pop up as well. So I'm doing even better. So just bear with for just a minute, and then we can get on. If you hear any rustling, it's because I'm right near to my microphone. But look at me being all professional. I'm trying to remember my code for my phone. It's 7 o'clock and I'm on here. That's because I'm getting my head around all of this stuff now. Just a minute while I hit this live button on here. Plus post a reel, post a live, that's what we're doing. And I'm gonna push my live button on here. It says it's checking a connection. So what am I doing this time? Hello Instagram. Just ignore me if I'm looking the wrong way because I'm going live on ecamm as well. Hopefully I'll get some more lovely comments like I did last time, which just made it really interactive and I really enjoyed it. So thank you very much for all of that. I'm going to do, I think this is going to be Unhelpful Thinking Styles Part 1. So we'll do 5 of them in this one, and then I'll do another 5 next week on them because there's 10 unhelpful thinking styles at the moment. So I'm going to do 5 tonight. So what are unhelpful thinking styles? I think it's connected with CBT, which isn't something that I'm qualified at, but I quite like these. Probably because I do or did a lot of these. And it's good to know, you know, that sometimes we do have, I've got something stuck on my nose. We do have unhelpful thinking styles. So what's the first one? Look at me being technological now. I'm going to put up my first slide and hopefully it will work. Oh, look at that. I'm getting better at this. All or nothing thinking. If you're following me on TikTok, which I know some of you are, and I really appreciate it because I'm getting more followers every day, which is brilliant. I've been doing 60-second TikTok videos on these for the past 7 days. I think I posted number 7, so you can pop over and watch this in 60 seconds, but I thought I'd do a bigger version or a longer version. I think this is going up on YouTube, on my Instagram, and in the group as well. So the first one is all or nothing thinking, which is sometimes called black and white thinking. So it's good or it's bad. I love it or I hate it. I can do it or I can't do it. I always do it or I never do it. So it's very fixed views that, you know, sometimes we have. What I want to let you know is that there's a big grey area in the middle. And sometimes we can't do things and sometimes we can do them. Because we're constantly evolving and we're constantly moving up that escalator. I talk a lot. Hi Tammy. I talk a lot about see, I'm multitasking now. I'm bound to stop, you know, doing things because it'll just get a bit confusing. You know, we're constantly evolving. I talk a lot about being on an escalator, our state of mind, it's constantly moving up and down, or in a lift where, you know, sometimes our state of mind isn't very good. If we're tired, if we're overwhelmed, if we're going through things, you know, over the past sort of 8 to 9 months while I've been going through treatment, my state of mind hasn't always been the best. Some days I don't feel that good and other days I feel on top of the world, and that's part of being a human being. That's absolutely fine if we feel that way. But just remember that there's a big grey area in the middle, and, you know, we're multifaceted as human beings. I often talk about, you know, I really like getting up early and hitting the ground running sometimes. But I love my bed and I like having a lie in. So if we're focusing on all or nothing thinking or black and white thinking, it's kind of like we're putting ourselves in a box and this is who I am. And the reality is that we're constantly changing. You know, we're constantly growing. Every moment is a moment that's gone and we move into a new moment. So just be mindful if you have got black and white thinking. So that's the first one. I'm going to get rid of that one now, and I'm going to put the second. Look at me being all technological. It's brilliant. The second one is overgeneralizing. Seeing a pattern based on a single event, or being overly broad in the conclusions that we draw. Everything always ends badly for me, or every time I go out I get anxious. Those sort of things. So when we overgeneralize, it's kind of like we don't give ourselves the opportunity for change. We just group everything together. This potentially has got something to do with what we do as human beings. I learnt this in a wonderful book. Let me get my book. It's called The Idiot Brain, and I do love this book, and I talk about it quite a bit. But there's something in here where it talks about apophenia, and apophenia is an actual thing that we do, and it's where our brain connects up the dots. So it generalizes things, particularly around anxiety or certain experiences. If we've had an experience that we don't particularly like, or one that we really enjoy, it tends to group it all together. So if we're experiencing something similar again, it'll pull in all those dots that it's connected up, so that we kind of re-experience it over and over, which is fine when we're experiencing a good thing. But if it's connected with anxiety, one of the examples that I usually give for this is, say that you're, I don't know, on a train. I don't particularly like public transport. I went on a train this week with my son, and it wasn't that bad. But my experience is that it's not good. So that's me connecting the dots from my past, when maybe I wasn't in a good state of mind and I had to get on public transport and I felt pretty crappy. And that's what I mean by overgeneralizing. I don't like public transport. It's very overgeneralized, is that? You know, there's lots of different ones. There's buses, there's trains, there's trams, there's aeroplanes, there's loads of different ways that I can do it. And I'm learning that, I do actually enjoy it. I might not have enjoyed it in the past, but the older I'm getting and the more in control of my emotions and my feelings around certain things, I'm learning that I do actually enjoy them a lot more now. So that's Unhelpful Thinking Style number 2. I don't even know what these are, so it's quite exciting when I see one pop up. Unhelpful Thinking Style number 3 is having a mental filter and only paying attention to certain types of evidence, filtering out the positives and only noticing or focusing on the negatives. Again, this is something that I do an awful lot, or I did do an awful lot in my past, is filtering out the positives and just leaving the negatives. Say you go out on a night out and you come back and then you start to think about how the night went. I pretty much guarantee that you're going to focus on anything bad that happened in that night rather than the good stuff. Again, it connects to the black and white thinking, the all or nothing thinking in the beginning. You're either going to think that was an absolutely fantastic night and everything was absolutely bloody brilliant, or I didn't enjoy any of that night. When the reality is there probably will have been good and bad bits throughout the night, but we tend to filter out one or the other, again dependent on where our state of mind is. Which you might think I'm harping on about this state of mind business an awful lot. But as human beings, it's transient and it's constantly shifting. We can get up in the morning and feel in quite a good mood. And then, I don't know, you get a phone call off somebody and somebody winds you up or something happens and our state of mind will dip a bit. That doesn't mean that for the rest of the day you're going to be, the Grinch or not a happy bunny, because something else might happen, or that feeling, that mood, that thought just passes and then your state of mind comes up again. It's literally like travelling up and down on an escalator all the time. We go up. The good thing about this, once you get your head around it, is that we're never at the bottom all the time and we're never at the top all the time. So if something happens and your state of mind isn't in a good place, whether that's due to like I said, being tired or ill or overwhelmed or anxious, whatever it is, we're never going to stay at the bottom of the escalator or at the bottom of the lift. We're always going to be moving upwards. But the same goes for the top of the lift when, you know, our awareness is brilliant and we're excited and we're feeling happy and everything is wonderful. We're never going to stay in that place either. It's going to come back down. Sometimes it'll go right back down to the bottom, or sometimes it'll go halfway. But that's part of being human, but understanding that it's all transient and it all changes constantly. For me, one, it was quite empowering, but two, it's quite comforting as well to know that, you know, no matter how bad things are, it's going to shift if we just allow it to. A lot of the time, we've just got to get out of our own way and allow things to happen. One of the things, because of what I've been going through recently with my diagnosis, and I don't want to keep harping on about it, is that, you know, I've realised that our bodies are absolutely amazing at taking care of us. They do exactly what they need to do when they need to do it, if we just allow them and get out of our own way. And I think it's the same, you know, with our mental health. Often, you know, a thought will come in and we just hang on to it for grim death, when if we just understand that our thoughts aren't real, our thoughts aren't true, it's just a thought, it's a nothing until we give it attention and attach meaning to it, or attach another thought onto it. Our mind and our body will just allow it to pass through if we let it. And that's the best thing that we can do, you know, unless it's something that we need to remember, like pick the kids up from school or an appointment, which, you know, for me now, if it's not in my diary or I've not got a reminder on my phone, it ain't happening. But generally, our bodies and our mental health and the way that we work, it is designed for us with the best of intention. Anxiety, the fight and flight, it's there for a reason. It's there to protect us and we need it. So we'll never be anxiety free. Even though a lot of people come and say, I want to live a life without anxiety, unfortunately, that's not going to happen. We learn to live with it. We can befriend it. We can accept that it's part of our life, but we won't ever be anxiety free because we need it. This one's a bit small. I'm going to make it a bit bigger. Unhelpful thinking style number 4. We've only got another one left after this. Disqualifying the positives, discounting the good things that have happened or that you have done. On my TikTok video, what I put with this, I said something about, is it a British thing to do? And I had some lovely comments on there saying, you know, that people in New Zealand will run a mile from a compliment, or they don't accept them either. And somebody said about Irish people literally running the opposite direction from a compliment. I want to give us all permission to just accept compliments. If somebody's saying something nice about us, or, you know, doing something nice because they like, we should accept that. Because it's disempowering for the other person. If they truly believe that you've done them a favour, or that they love you because you're you, or whatever it is, and we say, no, you're just saying that just to be nice, it's kind of disempowering for the other person. So we might say something like, that doesn't count, or anyone could do that. But it is disqualifying the positives. If somebody said, you know, I don't like you, we'd probably hang on to it. If somebody says, you know, I don't think you got a very good sense of humour, or, you know, I don't like the way that you dress or anything, we'd probably hang on to that for a lot longer. Whereas, you know, if somebody said, oh, you look absolutely gorgeous tonight, we'd be like, oh, yeah, no, it's just this dress, it, you know, it makes me look better than what I actually am, or whatever it is. So just be mindful of, you know, whether with black and white thinking, whether we're disqualifying the positives. All these are just different thinking styles, and we will probably do one or more or all of them throughout the day. But it's just being more aware and slowing the thoughts down, because once we can slow the thoughts down, then we can do something with them. And if they're a negative one, we can challenge it, we can take it to court. But when they're coming thick and fast, or we're not really aware of the things that are popping in our head, they can kind of get hold, and before we know it, we're kind of caught up in a thought storm. So the last one, everybody's been rather quiet tonight on here. You were a lot more talkative last week. Jump into conclusions. Again, this is another classic one that I do, or I did a lot of the time. Mind reading. Imagine we know what other people are thinking, saying or doing. Everything always ends badly for me. Every time I go out, I get anxious. So that's trying to predict the future. It's one of the things that I used to do an awful lot of the time was with my youngest. I knew what he was going to say before he even said it, which isn't true because I didn't know what he was going to say. I just thought I did. But the funny thing is, I only remember the times when I got it right. I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to do that. I knew what you were thinking. The times that I got it wrong, I've forgotten it because it's not reinforced my thoughts around his behaviour or the things that he says or the things that he does. And that again is another human thing that we do. We notice and we want things reinforcing so that then we can kind of say, yeah, that's right. I need to remember that for future reference. I know it's going off track a bit, but one of the things that often we do, oh God, that went small all of a sudden, didn't it? One of the things that we often do is look for validation in our stories. And when I say stories, I don't mean that we're making stories up a lot of the time. I just kind of mean that we look for validation outside that we've got it right. So say, for example, you've had an argument with your husband. You might go to work the following day and discuss it with a work colleague or a friend on the phone on your way to work. And what we're often looking for is validation and somebody to back up your thoughts around that story. And when they do that, it solidifies the thoughts that we have around it, which is interesting. And I think that's connected again with the caveman thing, that we need to be connected and belong to something because we do like to be part of a tribe. We don't want to be out on our own because that's not a safe place to be. So we kind of bring people into our story to give us recognition and validation that we're doing okay and that we've got it right. So all these thinking styles are just, a different way that we are as human beings. And like I said, it's not that they're bad, that we shouldn't do them, that we should stop them, because often a thought will just pop into our head and we don't really have much say over it. But it's about just understanding that they're not always helpful, particularly when our state of mind isn't in a good place. We can kind of throw them off, or often we don't even notice them when our state of mind is in a good place. So it's just about being mindful of the different types of thoughts and thinking styles that we have. So I'm going to shoot now. I've had a really busy day today. I had to have a tooth out at the beginning of the week and it really hurt. So doing a lot of talking is hurting a bit. So I shall go. If you've got any comments, if there's any topics that you want me to cover, just let me know. But next week I'm going to continue with these and I'll do the next 5. And hopefully you'll enjoy them. And then I don't know what I'll do after that. Whatever comes up my back. But I shall be back at the same time next week, 7 o'clock on Thursday, on here, and I'll put the recording up as well once it's finished so that you can catch up. If you are watching on catch up, just do #replay and feel free to comment or anything. And I shall see you all very, very soon. Take care and enjoy the rest of your week.